Welcome to reality. You're now on the Code of Mind channel. There are things almost everyone has encountered, and that is exactly why they are the hardest to notice as anomalies. You place an object in a specific spot, not vaguely, not approximately. You remember the movement, you remember the exact place, you remember the moment. And then, that's it. As if the object never existed. It wasn't lost. It wasn't stolen. It simply fell out of the script. And the strangest part is that these are not isolated cases. This repeats for years in different homes with different people, with different objects. Small items disappear most often, because small things are always the edge of the system, it seems. Like in a game. Large objects are rendered perfectly. The city stands. Walls exist. People walk. But small details appear, disappear, and then return to the wrong place. And you begin to feel not fear but anger at logic, because logic says, that can't happen, and reality answers, it can, and you saw it. This is where the old human explanation is born: house spirits, ghosts, entities. In the past, there was no other way to name it. A person encountered a bug in the world and explained it by assuming the world was alive. Not because people were more foolish than us, but because they were more honest in their perception. They saw, if an object disappeared, someone interfered. If footsteps and knocks are heard at night, there is someone's presence in the house. The system could not say textures failed to load. It could only offer a myth to explain it. And that is why house spirits are not just folklore. They are an attempt to name something a person truly felt. The world behaves not like reinforced concrete, but like a flexible program. And when you encounter this today, you don't need to believe in a bearded spirit with a broom. You only need to ask yourself one question. If this is not a memory error, then what kind of reality allows details to disappear? Now the most interesting part. Why did the figure of the house spirit appear at all? Because the system always does the same thing. When a glitch appears, it provides a legend so you can continue living calmly. A legend is a patch over a hole in the world. Conditionally speaking, the object disappeared. The house spirit took it. Noises at night. The house spirit is playing. Strange heaviness in the room. The place is unclean. The legend relieves tension. You stop digging. You close the question. And the system loves closed questions because an open question leads to awakening. The house spirit is a convenient form to explain what does not fit into ordinary daily life, regardless of whether it exists literally. What matters is something else. Why does the world make you believe in it? Because you encountered something that breaks the familiar mechanics of reality. And whatever you say, wait. What if the world is not whole? What if it loads in fragments? What if it reacts to the observer? Then you are given old, familiar mysticism. But if you look deeper, the quantum model contains the idea of probability. Until there is an observer, the system does not lock into a single version. Translating this into everyday language, while you are not looking, small details of the world may be blurred, not fully manifested, not fixed. And that is why an object disappears, then suddenly appears in a place you checked 100 times, and you feel, this cannot be, but here it is. This is not a prank of a house spirit. This is the behavior of the matrix, where a detail is not required to maintain form if it has fallen out of observation. And the legend of the house spirit is an ancient interface that explained to people what they were sensing correctly. The world is not rigid. The world is fluid. The world responds. Now to another phenomenon you have certainly encountered or at least heard of. A room where something walks, where footsteps are heard in an empty space, where a door opens by itself, where at night it feels like someone is there. A skeptic will say, old house, draft, pipes, settling, neighbor's imagination. And yes, often that is true. Everyday physics exists, but the point is different. There are places where the sensation does not feel like a draft. It feels like being watched. You enter, and it is as if something is holding attention. Not intentionally frightening, just present. How can this be explained without immediately turning to horror stories? Here is a logical version that can coexist with mysticism. Any place is a field. People leave emotions there for years. Fear, pain, joy, despair. And the field of the place becomes charged with this, like a battery. Your body reads this. Not with words, not with thoughts, but through the nervous system, the skin, the breath. You feel density, cold, heaviness, even if you cannot prove why. When a field is unstable, reality behaves strangely. Sounds appear and disappear, the sense of time glitches, it feels like you are not alone. Within matrix logic, this can be described as follows. In some points, the system seems to layer, as if two realities are standing close to each other, and you hear the echo of a neighboring layer. Not as a fact, but as a hypothesis, because sometimes it looks too precise. Footsteps in the corridor and no one is there. Objects shifted by a centimeter, as if someone checked your line. The feeling that you stepped into the wrong place, although the geography is the same. And here old mythology activates again. House spirit. Shadow. Entity. In the language of the Matrix, it may be different. This place is not empty. It stores traces. And sometimes those traces sound. And if you have experienced this, you are not crazy. You simply notice that the world is not flat. Now let us tie together what you have surely felt in old objects and old houses. There are items you pick up and something inside you changes. It becomes warm or unpleasant or strangely familiar. And there are places you have never been, yet they overwhelm you. I know this. I feel this. Something happened here. This used to be called the energy of a place, and I see no reason to dismiss it. Because even if you remove mysticism, normal logic remains. An event equals a strong emotional field. A field equals information. Information embeds itself into the surrounding matter. Just as radiation is invisible but acts, emotional traces are invisible but felt. That is where the idea came from that water stores memory. Many have heard about Mata's experiments. Words spoken to water, freezing it, crystals forming beautifully or grotesquely. It is important to be honest. From a scientific standpoint, these experiments are not recognized as proven. They are criticized for lack of control and reproducibility. As a hard fact, no. As a symbol and metaphor, yes. Why is the metaphor strong? Because water is an ideal image of a field. It takes the shape of its container. It responds to vibration. It changes under external influence. When you enter a house where people suffered for decades, you enter a space where that field has remained. Not necessarily through magic. It is enough that a human is a tuning instrument. You are sensitive. You read the environment. That is why old houses feel alive. That is why some apartments feel hard to breathe in. That is why sometimes you want to leave, even though nothing is happening. Memory does not live only in the head. It lives in the structure of the world. And the Matrix knows this. It uses it to guide you. Some places pull you in, others suffocate you. And now the question. Okay, the world is strange. Details disappear. Places make noise. Fields hold memory. What should a person who sees this do? First, do not fall into fear. Fear is the cheapest energy the system uses to trap people. Panic weakens you and takes away your ability to observe. And when you observe calmly, you become dangerous to the script. Second, record it. Not like a paranoid, but like a researcher of your own life. If there is a bug, notice it. Do not rush to explain it, just see it. Because sometimes a bug is not an enemy. Sometimes it is a hint. Third, keep your focus on what is yours. Reality, as strange as it sounds, forms itself around your attention. If you constantly focus on chaos, chaos becomes the main texture. If you hold focus on clarity, the matrix adjusts to that state. In other words, you do not need to fight the world. You need to stop giving it energy in the directions where you do not want to live. And lastly, respect your sensitivity. If you see glitches, it means you are not on autopilot. You are one of those who notice, who hear, who wake up. And those people are valuable. Thank you for being with me on this channel. I wish you the best possible branch of reality. Subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video. Take care.